Breaking tonight, we have two national polls just out, making four released so far this week, and across the board, the trends suggest we are seeing a big change shaping up in the 2016 Republican primary. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. Two new polls out today on top of the two we already saw. First, Quinnipiac released this morning. Trump keeps his lead, but he is down from late August, while Carson, Fiorina, Bush, and Rubio are all gaining strength. Next, Bloomberg. Trump still number one, but standing still at the same 21 he had in August. Again, Carson, Bush, Fiorina, and Rubio making strides in this survey. And it is not just that those four are rising right now. Take a look at this graphic showing the averages of all national polling since June 1st. You can see a new top tier taking shape, while you can see Donald Trump is experiencing his largest drop since he emerged as the frontrunner. And the headlines are taking note. Here's the Washington Post declaring today Donald Trump's slide in the polls is beginning to look real. Politico chimes in. Trump momentum shows signs of stalling. The Los Angeles Times says Donald Trump's peak in the polls might be behind us. And it goes on. Joining me now, former chief speechwriter to President George W. Bush and Fox News contributor Mark Thiessen, and host of Fox News' Media Buzz, Howie Kurtz. So some of those headlines, including the one in Politico, earned a rebuke from Donald Trump today, where he said Politico stinks. But it's not just Politico. And you tell me, Mark, whether this is a real stall for Donald Trump or what we're seeing.
I think what we're seeing is that debates matter. Donald Trump had a bad debate. Fox News polls show that he had, according to voters, had the worst performance of anyone on the stage. By contrast, Fiorina and Rubio had great debates, and so the polls are reflecting that. Now, he's dropped, but he hasn't cratered out like Rick Perry did in this time in 2012. He's still got about 20 to 25% of the electorate. I'm sure every other candidate wished they had that number, but he's stalled. And so if he's going to go beyond that, he's got to start showing some substance. I mean, the problem he faces right now is everybody's excited about the political incorrectness, but they want to see some substance from their president. He's got to stop telling us how smart he is and start showing us that he's smart. On
the other hand, Howie, we've seen a lot of headlines that this is the end for Trump or the beginning of the end for Trump. And it hasn't been the end for Trump. In fact, whenever anybody predicts that, his numbers go back up.
There is some wishful thinking here by the same pundits who spend months predicting Trump's imminent demise. Yeah, he's leveled off a bit after the CNN debate, and Carson and Fiorina are rising. But I've got to say, the press is starving for a new storyline after months of Trump dominance and happy to devour even a slight Donald decline.
Well, what we've seen, however, Mark, is, four polls now in which, he's either dropped or, the best one for him was the Fox News poll where he went up 1 point. So he's, at best, he's doing this right now in the polls. I want to ask you this, though, because there was an interesting number in the Quinnipiac poll that showed that his numbers of those who would definitely not vote for him are actually higher than his numbers of people who would vote for him. And so Tim Malloy, the assistant director of Quinnipiac polling, says, quote, when the number of Republicans who would definitely not support you is greater than the number who support you, where does that leave you? Welcome to Trump world. Where does that leave you?
Well, it means that he has a very high floor of loyal supporters, and he has a very low ceiling of people, which is going to be hard for him to go above. So to the extent that the field winnows out, and people consolidate around other candidates, then it'll hurt him. But again, the other thing that hurts him, quite frankly, is his debates. I mean, he looked very bad in that debate because he didn't have any substance. There's only so much time where in a presidential campaign where you can say, my strategy is I'm smarter than everybody else. I cut great deals. I'm going to get along with Vladimir Putin. I can't tell you my foreign policy plans because I don't want to tip off the enemy. Ronald Reagan told us his foreign policy plans. Donald Trump can tell us. And so until he starts getting some substance, and show that in the debates, he's going to hurt himself. And the interesting thing, Megyn, is there's an irony here. The Republican Party limited the number of debates because they wanted to protect the GOP frontrunner, the establishment frontrunner. Now they're protecting Donald Trump. The more debates we have, the harder it is for him to get the nomination.
Howie, clearly, the polls all make clear that the Republicans believe Fiorina won that debate. All of them. Virtually all of them. All of the polls and virtually all the Republicans. And what they thought, in Quinnipiac, they said that by 4-1, Republicans said she beat Trump. She won, he lost. However, and she got a boost in these polls. However, she's way behind him in all of these polls. So, yes, the debates are important. He's still killing her in all of these polls.
And that's what we shouldn't lose sight of. And look, Trump does best when he's on offense. So I don't think it's a coincidence that he's ramping up his offensive against the media again, not just boycotting Fox News again. You mentioned the tweet about Politico, maybe the most dishonest media outlet. And just this morning, he calls into CNN and rips a CNN correspondent as horrible and disgusting because she reported that there were a bunch of empty seats at one of his events, which he disputes. His supporters
The New York Times,
too.
The New York Times reported the same thing, and he ripped the reporter as terrible and unfair, who saw the same thing the CNN reporter saw.
And his supporters love when he whacks the media establishment, and the more that the commentators attack him, the more it kind of buttresses his outsider credentials.
But
and by the way,
is that still true? Do you believe that's still true, Howie?
I still believe it's true, and I believe one other thing, which is, however he may fluctuate in the polls, the media are paying attention to another set of numbers, and those are called ratings. He still is getting all this airtime that none of the other candidates get. He gets to phone into all these shows, which shows that he still has a big advantage built in, especially by television, over the other guys who are running.
The thing is, though, Mark, the polls also show that the American people are angry, and that by 72%, they don't believe the United States is as great as it once was. That's according to Bloomberg. They are ticked off, and many of those people are behind Donald Trump because they feel he gives voice to their anger.
Absolutely, and they feel betrayed, as the Fox News poll showed. They feel betrayed by the Republican Party and by the Republican establishment. They feel they haven't done enough to stop Obama's agenda. So, of course, that's why you see Carson, Fiorina, and Trump doing well. And this is why I think Fiorina poses a real threat to Trump, though, of course, it hasn't happened in one debate, but over a period of time, is because she is an outsider, but she is substantive, and she has shown, going mano a mano with him on the debate stage, she can hit him pretty hard. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how the other debates. I wish we had more debates because we'd see more.
Well, we have another Fox News one coming up in January, which I think is going to do pretty well. Good to see you both. There's a couple more before then. Well, as Marco Rubio gains traction in these polls, he and Donald Trump are ramping up a fight that started on debate night and has not stopped. And wow, did Senator Rubio take it to a new place this evening. Charles Krauthammer is next on what just happened between these two men. Plus, the fact checkers have now weighed in on reports that Hillary Clinton was actually the one who started the whole birther controversy. We'll show you what they discovered. And Carly Fiorina is challenging her critics tonight with a new campaign ad so powerful and so disturbing that the media has all but completely ignored it. Until tonight, the Kelly File will go there with a viewer warning. Ahead.
This is about the character of our nation. And if we will not stand up and force President Obama to be